when you've got a presentation about finishing, it's inevitable that I end up in this slot, which I do year after year after year at nearly every single event that I'm in. But I'll just begin with a thank you, if I may. Yeah, I thank you all for coming, all you design students and tutors for being here. It is really nice to see so many of you, and what a great opportunity for you to find out a little about textile manufacturing that we've got in the UK. And for that, we should thank our sponsors, Campaign for Wool and the Weavers, Drapers and Clothworkers Livery. And I'd like to thank them for including finishing in the programme and allowing me to come and talk about it. When I left university, my English lecturer made me promise that I would not become a soulless industrialist. That's what he said to me. Don't become a soulless industrialist, Paul. And I'm not, because there isn't anything soulless about being engaged in textiles. And it's always quite tricky for me at these because I always end up coming after Pennine Weavers, and their philosophy is really quite similar to ours. And I know that I'm not going to have to talk about the history of Yorkshire in textiles because he's already done that. So we can skip that little bit. So I'd like to begin with a couple of definitions. When I talk about fabric, I'm talking about woven textiles. Usually wool or other natural fibres such as silk, linen, cotton, alpaca, cashmere, but not exclusively natural fibres. And when I talk about finishing, I'm talking about the process between weaving and garment making, or whatever other end use that we're talking about. And I guess that last bit's a little bit dry, but I want to talk about the art of finishing. What I want to do is persuade you that modern fabric finishing, particularly on luxury products, is perhaps the crucial component in persuading a consumer of value. And I also want to convince you that finishing has a major part to play in the creation of a fabric. It's there for designers like you to use and exploit to their advantage. And those fabric designers who get the best out of finishing, they make it an integral part of the fabric design, not just an add-on at the end. They take the time to find out and understand what effective finishing can add to their products. And over the last few years, I've met some talented students who've taken the time, they're on courses like yours, and they've taken the time to do just that. I want to take you on a journey, short one I promise, through the evolution of our company and fabric finishing. So many years ago, we settled on just a couple of things. We'd concentrate on high-value products, and our business driver would be innovation in all things. We would try and do things that other finishers can't do. So we're a fourth-generation business. For those genealogists in you, that's great-grandfather. So we're over 100 years old. Excuse me. And the W.T. Johnson group of companies has three textile businesses. The finishing company, a dyeing company called DP Dyers, who are fabric dyers. They don't dye tops or yarns, they just dye fabric. And a commissioned inspection, mending and picking company called Relga. And I guess in total, we employ about 150 people. And our core business was fabric for men's apparel. But as the years went by, we diversified into accessories, scarves, shawls and the like, interiors, specialist interior fabrics, more recently contract furnishing fabrics, and also technical fabrics. And usually they've been in wool. So if you need any persuading about the value of wool, get hold of one of these and have a read, because it's all there. And every time I read it, I'm absolutely amazed about what a great fibre it is. We are, as Pennine, commissioned processors, so the fabric in our mill doesn't belong to us. We receive it, we process it, we send it back to the customer. And our direct customer is typically a UK mill or a fabric manufacturer. Indirectly, you'll find our fabrics everywhere. In men's suiting fabric alone, you'll find our fabrics finished by us in tailors' shops, just like the ones in Savile Row, in luxury markets all over the world. Our cloth is carried by the famous cloth merchant houses. There'll also be fabric finished by us in the collections of many leading fashion labels: Gucci, Versace, Hermes, Prada, Zegna, Yves Saint Laurent, Ralph Lauren, Burberry, Paul Smith, Tom Ford, and so on and so on. Our mission is to add value to our customers' fabric and make it special. And everybody who works in our business understands that. And our vision is to be recognised and rewarded as the world leader in wool fabric finishing. And our strategy to make that happen isn't all that complicated. We invest in our plant, and we invest in our plant and machinery, which includes IT, and we invest in our people. Just those two things. And that combination gives us unique processes to create our special added value. So we don't buy machinery only to be more efficient. It's important, of course it is. Cost is always important. But we buy machinery to increase our capability. And we take our engineering seriously. Our in-house engineering team have the capability to install machinery, modify it and improve its performance, and sometimes we'll design our own. We then have to have highly trained W.T. Johnson people with the skills to get the best out of all those machines, who know how to set them up to provide a variety of effects, who know how to combine them in order to achieve different results. And our 100 years heritage in that gives us a wonderful platform for both those things. Skilled people, flexible, sophisticated machinery. And as our knowledge grows, as our machinery advances, so too, which is really interesting for you, does the range of what we can achieve on people's fabric. So, the first cloth finishers are responsible really just for a couple of things. One, that the cloth was fit for purpose for tailoring. It's stable. It doesn't skew or shrink in the making up process, and you can make a suit out of it without too many problems. And secondly, that any oils and impurities from previous production processes get removed. Now, performance features are still extremely important, and nowadays, in finishing, we can influence pilling, cockling, residual shrinkage, strength, seam slippage, pH, fabric elasticity. We can provide antimicrobial, water-resistant, machine-washable finishes, just to name a few. However, we like to think that our full contribution involves more than simply performance. It allows a fabric to reach its full potential. And in luxury markets, discerning customers need to make an emotional connection with a product. The advance in our capabilities means that we can have a significant effect on a fabric's appearance, its drape, its touch, and its feel. And these are things that call to the senses. These are the things that can make a difference. When I was here last year, I told a quick story about Gary and I going to Abu Dhabi and the reaction of their chief of police touching a fabric. This year I've got one from a lot closer to home. There's a woolen manufacturer very locally who's been taken over by an Italian mill. And we've continued to trade with them, but the Italian mill knows that we're worsted finishers as well as woolen finishers and has brought some of his Italian worsted fabrics over to the UK for us to finish for him. And a couple of days ago, our technical manager delivered those fabrics to the chief executive of this company, and the minute he laid his hands on them, he broke into a massive smile and he grabbed my technical manager by the hand and pumped his hand up and down. He had not seen those sorts of results on his fabric, and he's been doing it for years. And they're supposed to be quite good at this. So that is a real bonus for us, but it also tells us that we're moving in the right direction, and these are the things that matter. Because I think what we're doing, one of the things we're doing, is we're facilitating a vital link between the whole of the fabric supply chain and the luxury consumer. So you've had a flavour today already of the skills in this wool and in this silk and other natural fibres. And guess what? In lots of textile supply chains, the skill that's involved in all those processes. Designers, spinners, dyers, weavers. And to those skills you can talk about the husbandry and clever genetic programs of the wool growers, all doing fantastic work for the benefit of the end consumer. Now, the advantage of good finishing is it builds on all those elements and enables the fabric to reach its potential. It ensures that the value of that supply chain is delivered to the consumer in full. So, as designers, you can't and shouldn't ignore it, because that is an advantage worth having. And it's even more crucial in an industry that is product-led. Now, of course, we need to inform consumers about the genuine product stories. But actually, they're becoming interested in product stories. Just brand isn't quite enough anymore. Brand needs a good product story, because the consumers we're talking about are smart and they're discerning, and we've got good product stories. So here's one. The suit I've got on today is made from a scorial wool. This is a rare wool originating from the Spanish royal flocks many centuries ago of El Escorial. And today, you can only find it in small numbers in Australia and in New Zealand. And the difference between Escorial wool and lots of others' wool is that the heart of the fibre takes the form of a coiled spring. That's what it looks like when you examine a fibre. And this characteristic, this fibre characteristic of that wool, creates a fabric with incomparable drape and softness, but one which is also very resilient, and air can be trapped into the fibre to give it improved insulation. And the result is a garment, a luxury garment of comfort and performance. But without us doing our bit right, the end product is massively compromised, and all of that work goes to waste. So I just want to give you a quick flavour of some of the key processes in wool finishing. And I guess the pictures will also give you an impression of the investment in capital that a modern finishing company, and lots of modern companies, as we've already seen, has to make. So this would be cleaning. We call it Dolly Scouring. And what we're doing is two things. We're cleaning the wool, the fabric, and we're also developing it. We are breaking the yarns, we are making them softer, we are giving them some drape. And this machine's got wooden rollers, which historically was always the way to do it. Now, cost and time has dictated that that isn't the cheapest way to do it. But we're not interested in the cheapest way. We want the best way. We want the kindest way to give the best possible handle so that that fabric can fulfill its potential. And this is still it, which is why we've still got them. And we've got fantastic quality water around here as well, which is also extremely beneficial in the process. Alternatively, we have much more modern machines too, computer-controlled, big batches. We can mill and scour on these in combination. And we solvent scour. This is used as perchloroethylene that they use in your local dry cleaner, but it's on a continuous basis, and it removes all sorts of mineral oil, loose colour, makes the substrate very uniform and very clean without doing any of that work or drape type effect at all. When you've got fabric wet, you've got to dry it, but we're not just drying it, we're controlling the dimensions. We can control the dimensions in a width or a warp ways. We can also use this machine at high temperatures to set polyesters, to put on waterproof treatments and cure them. So it's a very flexible piece of equipment, and it's very, very carefully controlled because of the heat that's involved. This is cutting or cropping or shearing, all terms that you might have heard of. What we do is we mechanically get rid of some of the surface fibre that's been created in the scouring process during that softening. And it's a mechanical process, but it has to be very precise. Too close to the fabric if you're cropping, and you'll damage the fabric. Too far away and you're not actually doing any cropping. If you're lucky enough to go to the Clothworkers Hall down in London, you will see early pictures of this type of machinery on their wall there because it's been around a long, long time. This is the most modern way of doing those very, very traditional processes. It's also the process that the Luddites got rather het up about and started smashing things to pieces because they didn't like the fact that cropping was becoming automated. This is a high-temperature decating machine. It's doing two things. We talked earlier about stabilization. This is how stabilization is done now. It's what we call a permanent treatment. So if you create some effects or you create some stability on this machine, it will go right through to the finished garment. You dry clean the garment, it's still there. It goes through the lifetime of the garment. So permanent finishing in our day and age now is non-negotiable. It's very, very important. We don't want finishes that degrade. We don't want finishes that come off. That piece of kit does that. That does it on a, previously that does it batch, so a big batch roll. This does it continuously. So the real clever bit here is introducing fabric into that autoclave and out again without breaking the seal, because it's about 130 degrees in there. So this treatment has been done on a continuous basis, which is actually pretty clever. There's two in the world. They're both in Huddersfield with us. And if you wanted to buy one now, it would cost you north of £1 million each. As I said, in our company DP Dyers, we also dye. They simply dye fabric there. But the trick of that company is to dye it on shade, to dye it right first time, and to dye a big variety of different types of substrates in different types of batch sizes, which means that we need a very flexible dye house that enables us to do lots and lots of different things. Because actually in our business, flexibility is quite a big watchword. I think there's a part of today which is a chance to make you aware of the range of employment opportunities in textile manufacturing. We love to tell you about the fact that there's manufacturing in the UK, but actually there is a role for you in it. Recently, and she's left now, Lorna, but she was very useful in this, the industry as a whole has been in dialogue with the government in an attempt to present a case for textile manufacturing to be regarded as advanced manufacturing. And, you know, this has been positively received, I think, which isn't a real surprise because textile manufacturing in 2015 is advanced manufacturing. Lots of it is. And we share lots of common ground with other, perhaps more highly regarded manufacturing industries. Continuous improvement has been mentioned. It's absolutely crucial. Lean thinking, project management skills, production planning, research, testing, development, innovation, health and safety, just to name a few, all present in modern manufacturing, textile manufacturing. But in our business, we recognize that we're working with a natural product. And as such, you can't guarantee consistent behavior every time from the fabric. So once you accept that, you recognize that experience and knowledge become a real competitive advantage. It's some of the things that we've got that when you're trying to start up finishing in other countries, they find really difficult. Okay, so all our people who are working with fabric in the mill, they've got to be decision makers. They see what's happening with the product and they act accordingly. And, you know, our heritage, aligned with a really robust training and development culture, is a real strength for our business. And we've got lots of opportunities for creatives, for cloth technicians, quality managers, lean manufacturers, engineers, dye technicians, IT people. You know, we have opportunities as the months and years go by. And all of them are trying to make cloth special. So, what makes it special? Well, the answer, of course, is it depends. It depends on the customer and their vision. You know, I'd like to focus on the word bespoke because we don't say, excuse me. That's not going to go, is it? Never mind. It was on the last slide. take it from me. Focus on the word bespoke, because we don't say in our business, here are 4 finishes, which one do you want? Bespoke means that we work with our customer, the manufacturer, or the customer's customer, to identify their vision for the product. We then use our knowledge and machinery to try and transform the fabric as close to that vision as possible. So there's a couple of examples for you. The first is All Saints, who are based in Spitalfields. Now then, I know that that's where the Huguenots used to be based now, Richard, don't I? I also know it's probably about the first area of one of the first ever tax schemes in the UK. But there we go. So All Saints in Spitalfields, you will know them, you people out there. A brand who have a very distinct look. They know what they're about. If you walk into their stores, you can get a feel for where they've positioned themselves. But they play on their Englishness. All Saints of Spitalfields, with Singer sewing machines in the window, they are a British brand, and they want some British fabric in their collection, believe me. They want some. And they spent a lot of time looking around the UK trying to find fabric manufacturers who could produce something that they could buy. But I guess they weren't really listening to what they were saying, and they kept presenting them things that they imagined that they might like. And this went on for quite some time until their design director, a young chap called Will Beadle, came to our place and sat down with our people, and we fully understood what it was he was trying to create. And then we were able to use our skills to come up with a type of finish that we'd not come up with before, which was relevant for him and fitted his specification exactly, and we moved a lot of cloth that way. We also recently got involved in the creation of a fabric with one of the cloth merchant houses, where they'd recognised that the gemstone jade was particularly well regarded in the Far East, and they wanted to find a way of incorporating some jade particles into their fabric, which was a problem we were able to solve for them. And again, comparatively recently, you may or may not know that the Woolmark company have been involved in a cool wool promotion in order to try and persuade people that actually wool is a very good fibre for summer as well as just being a winter fibre. And we've worked with our customers and come up with a finish which has some natural stretch in it, makes it a bit more comfortable. The surface is very, very clean. It's not fibrous at all, which gives it a sort of a cool handle. And we're able to put a product on there which changes the surface tension of fabric so that when moisture hits it, it dissipates over a large area and evaporates very quickly. And finally, we're currently looking at and have created a machine which treats fabric with multiple energy sources and gases. And this is a way of increasing the performance of fabrics through modifying the surface with these multiple energy sources, which are actually laser and plasma. And we hope that this will give improved characteristics compared to current technologies, whilst at the same time bringing significant environmental benefits. 99% of the fabric we finish is made in Britain. We're very much part of the made in UK fabric supply chain. British finishing for British cloth. Made in England, made in Scotland has a strong brand story, and its cloth is prized and valued and desired all over the world. You've heard today from not just me, but a few of the companies who uphold our proud textile manufacturing traditions, and I'm hoping and I'm sure you'll see that the visits you're making tomorrow will bring it a little bit more to life for you than it has been today. But it is programs like these that remind me what a diverse and complicated and challenging but ultimately fascinating industry we are part of. And if we all work closely together as an industry, because we are diverse, and we encourage new talent, such as yourselves, then our prospects are really, really strong. So it's been my pleasure to talk to you, and thank you for listening.